This is Michael from Diamond Seed Astrology. This video is about the upcoming course that I'm going to be teaching, which is called Persephone's Zodiac. So this class is it's a pretty deep dive into a very fundamental set of metaphors for what the zodiac really is. I'm going to be examining in great depth what stories we're really looking at, what the zodiac is really trying to tell us, and I'm going to bring together a lot of the mythology of the ancient Greeks and Romans into what I think is going to be clearly a logic that is really pagan, very naturalistic, and very hermetic, that underlies astrology. It's, as I've said in previous videos, the paradigm in which we're working in modern astrology, even astrologers who are studying Hellenistic astrology or Renaissance astrology, or these sort of revivals based on the ancient texts. What I'm doing is, in fact, is based on Hellenistic astrology, but I'm looking at the assumptions that underlie it from a much more fundamental and pagan and hermetic standpoint, trying to get the metaphors correct that are sitting behind astrology. And that may sound cryptic or odd, but there's a lot of things that are missing, in my opinion, that we really need to go back to examine all of the basic assumptions of what astrology even is. As I've said in previous videos, astrology is all about the seasons. It gives us gods, the planets, who rule certain seasons, signs, and it gives us the points of the cross, which are the equinoctial points and the solstice points. And it's telling us a cosmological and a theological story. And it's not just divination. And it's my contention that the divination works because astrology is based on such a fundamentally human and earthbound paradigm. The gods of the seasons, there are tutelary gods of the seasons that we need to propitiate and worship and emulate in the correct season. There's another aspect to astrology that's very little examined, which is the fact that there's always a duality in when we're talking about any sign. That it's got an element that's represented in that sign. We have Aries being fire, Taurus being earth, and Gemini being water, and then Cancer being Gemini being air, and Cancer being water, and so on. Leo being fire, starting over again. So we have we have these elements, and they don't show up in the same place. There's four elements, and yet there's 3 signs to each season. So the elements are changing their place in the season. So Aries is in the cardinal position in spring, whereas Leo, which is the next fire sign, is in the fixed position in the summer. And in fall, Sagittarius is the next fire sign, which is a cardinal sign. So these are all different positions in the in relation to the seasons. So there's something very basic there, a logic that we need to really examine in depth. What does that mean? There's always a duality with these things. So there's always something that's projecting, which is masculine, and there's always something that is receiving, which is feminine. So we need to look at that. There's an implicit logic to each of these signs and their element, and where they show up in terms of in their seasonal position. So Persephone's Zodiac, the class is going to get into examination of all these things. We're going to look into the Zodiac as a tree of life, the tree of life that sits behind the Zodiac that shows you where the life force is at any one time, whether it is in ascent in the spring, whether it is in ascent in the summer, or in descent in the fall and the winter, and whether fertility is in ascent or fertility is in descent, and if the sun is in ascent or the sun is in descent. So these are all factors that are extremely important to astrology. Fertility, again, is one of the most important questions in astrology that we need to look at, because we have this language in astrology where astrology doesn't talk about evil. It talks about maleficence, and it talks about whether or not an archetype whether it's cold and dry, or cool and moist, hot and wet, or hot and dry, or cold and dry. So what do these things mean? And then we're going to look on another level at the archetypes as they are expressed in mythology, and the specific myths that sit with each of these planetary archetypes. We're going to touch on that. I'm going to do a lot more work. The Persephone Zodiac is a class. It's an introduction to this thinking. It is not a complete course to teach you astrology. Not at all. This is the fundamental presumptions that are behind astrology. This is useful, obviously, for practicing astrologers. It will be extremely useful for people who want to practice astrology but have not yet dived into the techniques, so that you get the most fundamental ideas of what is going on. So that's this upcoming class. I've been working on it for a very long time. I have been preparing my house to sell, and so I've been absent from the video creating space for a couple months, and I'm now back. Still working on my house, but that will be done really soon. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to having the class. If you are interested in this, you can leave a note, a response, a message to this video. You can also go to my website at michaelmsuter.com, where I have a lot of my blog entries. And you can see all the rest of the videos in the series through my site, and obviously my YouTube. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, or you want to say anything, by all means contact me. If you want a reading, my readings are based in the astrology that I will be teaching, and it is very unique. I can promise you that it's highly unlikely that you will have another astrologer give you a reading like what I will. Very strong natal readings. Each of the archetypal planets run a much larger mythological gamut of expressions than most astrologers are aware of, and I attempt to bring all of that, which winds up looking more like shadow work, because all of each of the archetypes is got potential to become problematic, and if we just stick to a benefic, malefic sort of continuum with our planets, then we don't get very much information about what they really do. Again, this is Michael from Diamond Seed Astrology, and I will be adding more soon. Thanks very much.